Okay, you have an apple and you want to know what's the name of the apple. Of course, telling by one specimen is not enough, so collect as much as you can of the same specimens. And finding just by looking at an apple is very difficult. But it's not impossible. You can do it. And there are guides for that. One of the books about apples is Rosie Sanders' The Apple Book. That can be a guide to help you. For example, this apple, I know what is it, of course. I will just use it as an example. Looks flat. Both the specimens I have looks flat. It has some reddish bits. It's quite common apple. So being rare is not rare, but because being common, it means it's a good variety. It's relatively disease-free. So when it grows on the tree, it takes care of itself. I've never used any pesticide or fungicide on this apple tree. And it's the third year giving me crops. Okay, I know this apple, by the way. What is it? It's a common apple. One of the commonest apple. It is early. This crop, I cropped it. I harvested it just about 2-3 days ago. This was available since the mid-August, so it's early apple. So one of the most common early apples is Beauty of the Bath. It doesn't look anything like that. It's flattish kind of thing. And the other famous early apple is Discovery. And now we are in the Rosie Sanders book. And we look at the shape of our apple, almost as if they are the same. I go closer and you can see this is a painting by the book, by Rosie Sanders in the book. And this is the apple that I have. Under it is not much similar, but probably because it is deformed. If I look in this one, it looks a little bit more similar. And the top of it, if I hold it at the same angle almost, this one looks a little bit less ripe. This is more ripened. And they look again similar. In this case, it looks the similarity is more. Another way of looking at the apple is just looking at the cross section of that apple. So if I put the apple in a way that is in the book, that is the stalk toward the bottom of the page. That's the stalk. That's toward the bottom of the page. Yeah, somehow they may look similar. Of course, deformity and other things considering that. But it is not a pear-shaped apple. It's not a round apple. It's kind of flattened apple, with one side a little bit chubbier than the other side. And in this specimen, this also can be seen. So, of course, we know that this is a discovery. And if I had a leaf of it, I could also compare with the leaf. And the blossom also. I have videos about the blossoms of the apples. And I have smelled them, I have shown the shape of them, and I compared the smell, the fragrance, from 1 to 10. And I can say that the Discovery apple has one of the most fragrance rich apples when it is in blossom, of course. And itself also smells very appley, tastes slightly like a strawberry, you can imagine that. And it's a good apple. There are other books also you can take a look. Not this book, not this book. I have made a video about all of them. I will probably make another one about this one. Probably you haven't seen it. I made about this book in the Ludlow when I was in Ludlow, and it's a good book. When I was sitting in the Costa coffee shop, I just made immediately a video about it and uploaded it on YouTube. But anyway, you can see more varieties of this, more pictures of the Discovery. This is a Discovery which has really ripened. I must say I don't have such a specimen myself. There in another book you can see that also. This is Discovery apple, and the description here. And yet again, some similarities you can see. Of course, again, these are more ripened, or probably modified slightly during the printing. They look more ripe, that's to me. And in other books also, that was the fruit expert by the Sayun, the Cypriot horticulturist. This book is the All-in-Kindlessly Grow Fruit for Gardens or Altman's Patios, Balconies by Alan Buckeringham. And as you see here, the shape of the apple again, slightly oblong here, you see it's slightly flattened. It's quite ripened, but the apple description is the same. This is another book called The Fruit Tree Handbook by Ben Pike. And again, Discovery apple, you see that here. Again, redder than normal. Discovery, I have some other varieties, some other specimens. And some of them look really red, but most of them have this kind of coloring. A little yellowish at the bottom. It can be this color mostly. It's an early apple. It cannot be kept for a long time, so you have to eat it. But the fragrance is really nice and appealing. One of the best apples you can have in your garden. So that was the way. By referring to some books, you don't need to buy all these books. Probably you can just use our videos, or go to a library and ask them to take the book. Use the libraries, good practice if you continue to use the library, so the libraries will not be closed. You can ask the book be sent to you by loan from another library, usually British library or university libraries. They can send it to you, or other county libraries if you live in Britain. Unfortunately, the Discovery, you cannot find it. This variety of apple and many other apples that are famous in Britain, you cannot find it in America. This book, apple book by Andrew Mikolajski, is published in Britain, but the apples that they describe mostly have different names to what is common in the Britain. So I suppose these apples are not from Britain. Probably the names are the ones from America or Canada, those areas. But this is a British book, so you will find the names common. If you go to the websites or look at the catalogs of other nurseries, you will see that they have most of these apples. And of course, some of them also you can find about them on YouTube. I have made myself about probably 30 or 40 varieties of apples. I have some more that I have to upload yet. And these are good source of information. Of course, it depends. This book tries to show, at least in different stages, some stages, not different stages, at the level of blossom, and then when they're ripe and when they're cut. The videos I have made, they show them as blossom, when they are ripe, before they become ripe, tasting, and other things, so you can refer to them as a reference. My effort was to, because I couldn't find what I want. So when I see something and I have a knowledge about it, the qualities and description of it, I just try to share it. And YouTube is a good source of information. Gradually, who knows, this will be forming database for reference by other people. So it's just not just one when it is ripe. Apple is just as the later stage of it. When it is on tree, it looks like this. Otherwise, it has before that another shape, color, and yeah, sizes of course varies. So it's difficult to. You have to be on the right time if you want to use this kind of books. To be on the right time looking at the tree. Otherwise, that will be a little bit difficult.